children whose parents are married are more likely to be successful in life than those raised by single parents. Controversial. Do you think it makes much difference if you're raised by two people or a single parent to how you will do in later life?
Well, up front, I'm going to say I don't like, personally, reports like this because it all depends on circumstances. And I bet in this audience we have a lot of single mothers, maybe single fathers, who've done a brilliant job. And the trouble with a report like this is that it makes people think, oh, gosh, you've got to be in that married scenario to do a good job. For me, anyway, I just think that according to research and everything, of course, if you ask children, said, you know, short of a mother being battered or something like that, they would always say, yes, I would prefer my mum and dad to be together. They would always want that. But circumstances change, and obviously situations change. And I do think that some of the single mothers I've met, I admire them so much. And from my own point of view, I am a divorced person and married for the second time. But I would have to say that my children were, at the separation, they were about like university age, almost 18, 17. And my younger son was only about 10. But they've done very well in life, thank goodness. But
did they ever say,
how do I know, though, how they feel about it inside?
Because
that's the point.
Did they ever say to you, you know, oh, Mum, I wish you hadn't have got divorced, or I felt, you know, that I didn't do so well at uni because I was upset about you and Dad?
No, in all fairness, they haven't. And I think that it probably is how you deal with the separation. It's never easy, is it? But I personally wrote to each of my 3 children to try to explain to them and to say sorry from that point of view. That
at the time?
At the time, yes, I did, the time of separation. And the whole point is that after Karen died, I found that letter in amongst all her things. So she'd kept it for all those years. So I'm quite sure deep down it's impacting. How do we know? Certainly none of my children ever said. And I'd like to think I handled it all right.
We put adult logic on things, don't we?
Yeah.
So when we tell children things, you know, you don't actually always know what they're thinking. And sometimes they want to react in the way they think you want them to, you know, to not cry or not be upset. Did you sit down with the boys and tell them?
Well, what happened with me was it'd been going on quite a while with me and Shane, and we kind of knew that it was the end, but we were still really friendly with each other. Boys never, ever saw us arguing or having a go at each other or anything like that. And what happened was I wasn't ready yet to kind of tell the boys. I think they were 4 and 7. And I thought when I do tell them, Shane Jr. will be, because he's quite reserved even at a young age, I thought he will go off for a couple of hours and sort it out quietly in his head and then come back and might want to speak about it, might not. Jake will just go mental because Jake's very emotional. And actually I was forced to tell them in the end because a newspaper phoned me up and said it was going to be the front page the next day.
Nice. That's always nice.
So I thought, oh, I've got to tell him, because Shane was at school, and I thought I don't want him to walk into school and hear from his friends, because they had no idea at this point. So I had to go and tell them. Shane Senior himself couldn't face it. He said, you'll have to do it, I can't do this. Nice. Yeah. And so I went up and took both the boys upstairs and lay on the bed, and in actual fact it was Shane Jr. when I told him, the one that I thought would just be really cool and quiet, he curled into a fetal position and this noise came out like a wounded animal. And it absolutely broke my heart. And Jake, who was 4, who didn't get any of it, he just started crying because his brother was crying. And he kept saying, why are you crying? Why is he crying? Why is he crying? And so you never know what the reaction's going to be. You know, even now when I think about it, it breaks my heart.
I had to go through it. I think people forget about us parents. When I split with Pete, you know, it killed me because I had to agree that he had the kids half and half, and Princess was 1.5 years and Junior was 3. And it's like, from being with me all the time to have to split them, and I did it for the kids' sake, but I would never, ever forgive that situation that I was forced to literally do it then.
But then people would say, well, why shouldn't he see the children half the time, I suppose?
But I didn't want to divorce him. I wanted to be with him, and I know damn well that if there weren't certain people in the situation at the time, we would have made up and, like, got along with it.
So are you saying you didn't talk about it then?
We've never actually sat down and spoke about it, no.
If you were married, which you were, why did you not have access to him to actually speak about it?
There were certain people who wouldn't allow it, controlling the situation.
Like be on their own.
But then saying that about the single parent, because I've been that as well, I've been a jack of all trades, haven't I? But like with Harvey, I was 23 single parent, and not only that, I was still young. He had his disabilities, and I know that I brought him up so well. I know I'm a good mum. I don't care what anyone says. I know I am.
You are a great
But
mum.
ideally, I would like to be old-fashioned, stay with the same parent, but it just hasn't worked out that way. So I think that's why I get married.
Were your parents divorced?
Yeah, my parents divorced when I was 3. I can't remember it, but it must have affected me because
Maybe
I
that's
just
why
always
you
have
want
to
the
be married. I
perfect,
want
yeah.
the kids. I want to love something so it loves me. It must play on your mind, but
So
it is what it is.
did you and Pete have to talk to Junior? Princess was probably a bit young, wasn't she?
No,
did you
me
sit
and Pete have
together and-
never sat down with the kids ever, and I've never even sat down with Pete and discussed why we split. Never.
Do you think if you had have done,
we would have stayed
it would have
together?
been really?
Yeah.
Really?
Generally believe it. Doesn't matter now, I'm not happily married. And even when we say to Junior and Princess, you know, I have said to him, would you like me and your dad to be together? And Princess is like, oh, no, I love Kieran and I love Emily. So they're quite happy. And like I say to them, well, at least you get 2 Christmases, 2 birthdays.
Yeah.
Because I know they get love from him and I know they get love from
That's
us.
the point I was...
Wait until you watch these and click here to subscribe. You may as well. It's totally free.
The outfits I used to wear, but I felt good in them. But what you've got to remember, I did all the men's mags and I thought that was sexy. I thought that when I go, I have to wear something short, boobs out. If I see it on girls now, I know they're going through that stage, but I think, no, men don't look at that. They just think you're easy.